So my name is Elizabeth Stark. I'm CEO and co-founder of Lightning Labs, and I have my good friend Larry Salibra here, who is a Lightning enthusiast and is going to lead the discussion about what's going on right now with Layer 2 and Lightning.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Really excited to be here. As a longtime Bitcoiner, I'm honored to be asking Elizabeth some questions. First of all, how many people, I want to ask in the room, show of hands, how many people here know what the Lightning Network is? Raise your hand. It's pretty impressive.
OK, wow. Better than expected. Awesome.
How many people here have used Lightning Network to make a testnet transaction? Raise your hand. Mainnet? Anybody? OK, it's not bad. So first of all, I want to ask Elizabeth to tell us a little bit about the world, how the world of Bitcoin has evolved over the past few years. Why is infrastructure so important to building on base layers of blockchains?
So one of the things that I think we sometimes forget in this world and in this industry is blockchains haven't actually been around for that long. You know, it was just over 9 years ago, this past January, that the first code base of a blockchain was released, right? 3rd January 2009, Satoshi released the code to the world. So this is really new technology, and sometimes I think we want it to be farther than it is, but we're really still in the early days. We're in the equivalent of the 90s for the World Wide Web. And the importance of infrastructure when it comes to building out Layer 2, building out technology like Blockstack, getting all of the technology that's out there in order to be able to build the application layer is so crucial. I will say that I think lately some people have tried to go too far, and they think, oh, we can build out all these applications, and I love this application ecosystem. But without the infrastructure, we can't get there. So the importance of infrastructure is crucial, and I think we're finally now seeing a lot of people develop that and build it. And one thing I will say is, 2017 was a crazy year in the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, right? It went mainstream. Your grandparents were asking about it. It was on TV and the media all the time. But it wasn't always like that. We weren't always cool. So, for example, just a few years ago when I was getting started with Lightning Labs and really excited about Bitcoin and Lightning, I would talk to friends about it. They'd kind of be super dismissive. A friend of mine said, oh, isn't Bitcoin donezo? In fact, Bitcoin has died so many times, and it keeps rising from the dead. I remember talking to an executive from a big technology company. He told us, our entire blockchain team thinks you guys are absolutely insane. And my response was, at least what I thought, well, that's probably a very good sign, right? So things have changed. We're now much cooler than we were back then, but we're still very much in the early days, and there's still so much to be built out, and Lightning is a big part of that.
Cool. Where would you say the Lightning Network is today? Is it usable? Are people using it? And how do you think it's going to evolve in the future?
Yeah. So first, for those in the room that didn't raise your hands, and you're wondering, what is this whole Lightning thing? Lightning is a second layer protocol that sits on top of Bitcoin and other blockchains to enable instant and high-volume transactions. So it turns out public decentralized blockchains by nature are inefficient. Because the way that blockchains work, and I'm sure many of us know this here in the audience, is that you have a network of full nodes that are verifying all transactions on the network. They're downloading and verifying the entire ledger. So the idea is, what if in order to send an email, say you're running a full node, you had to download every email that anybody had ever sent in the world? Or what if in order to buy a coffee, you had to download every transaction that anybody had ever sent, for anything in the world? This is very inefficient when you have the entire world, say, coordinating and a network of servers doing so. So what Lightning does is it enables local consensus on top of this network of global consensus. So you have a network of participants. So here we have good old Alice, Bob, Carol, Aaron, and Dave, and then poor Fred is off over there, not connected. And with Lightning, you can open what's called a payment channel. So it's kind of like this on-ramp onto Lightning. You put that into the blockchain. You get onto Lightning, you can transact between participants instantly, but everything is secured by the underlying blockchain. The blockchain functions as a court that can resolve disputes. There is no Lightning currency coin. There's no Lightning ICO. It just uses whatever currency it's built on top of. So in most cases right now, it's Bitcoin. We also have support right now in our technology for Litecoin. And then you also have participants that transact between each other. So for people that know about the way that the internet functions, you can envision Lightning as payments as packets. So the way that packets route on the internet, payments route on Lightning. And Lightning can kind of act like a decentralized checking account with instant settlement, where you can use your day-to-day transactions, you can send and receive high-volume transactions, and the blockchain functions as this kind of savings account for your long-term holdings. So another important aspect is here, when you have this multi-hop transaction, the intermediate nodes that you're routing through cannot steal your money. And this is crucial. This is a peer-to-peer network, and it's not custodial. So you don't have the counterparty risk that's present in traditional, say, financial institutions, things like correspondent banking or whatnot. This is a true peer-to-peer open source network. So how are things operating today? Well, right now, we have a test network. There are multiple implementations of the open source Lightning protocol. There's a specification that people from around the world have been collaborating on. My company, Lightning Labs, has built out LND, the Lightning Network Daemon. There are 2 other major implementations. One is called Eclair, Lightning in French, another one, C Lightning. And they all work together. There's been a lot of progress in the past year. Just in December, we performed the first ever interoperable transaction on the main Bitcoin network, which was a huge feat. We've had communities of people engaging, and just seeing the enthusiasm has really just been amazing. The people that love this technology, that love the idea of Bitcoin and decentralization, and there's so much more to come.
Cool. What are some of the apps that are being developed right now with developers, and what are the use cases? Like, where is it really getting traction in the early days? And sort of like, what do you think the future is going to look like when lots of people are using Lightning?
So a lot of people have learned about Lightning for the scalability issues. For example, Bitcoin can only handle about 5 to 10 transactions per second. Various blockchains have a similar order of magnitude in terms of transactions per second. There are lots of debates within the communities around this, but needless to say, the idea that you could have hundreds of thousands of transactions on the base chain just isn't viable. With Lightning, you can do that. So people know about scalability. They also know about the very low fees that are on Lightning. They can be negligible to 0. But what I think a lot of people haven't fully realized yet is Lightning can function as an application development layer. And it's a much better way to build on top of Bitcoin and have a payment layer on an application. For example, Lightning and Blockstack, I know we're chatting with you guys. There are a lot of really cool things that can be done with Blockstack applications and then Lightning for payments and value. So for example, there's an application developer who built the site Block and Jerry's. There's Doge Food. Also for the Bitcoiners in the room, Segwit 2X Half-Baked. And so you can actually buy, one day I went online and I was just buying, fake ice cream. It gets kind of addictive with Lightning. We have a website, dev.lightning.community. You can click on the Laps link, Lightning Apps, and there's a whole list of wallets and applications that are out there. So you can go online, you can use a web wallet, a desktop wallet. There's some early mobile wallets as well. And you too can buy some fake ice cream. I also hear there are going to be some new ice cream delivery services involving Lightning coming soon. So there's another really cool application, if we can cue the video, where a developer named Elaine O decided to make a Lightning-powered vending machine, where here you can see you're buying some beans for the vending machine. You copy the Lightning address, and that's, in the future, will be really easy.
Ready?
Kind of hitting send.
Go.
Bam, it arrives, and then the bird comes and eats the bird food. So you can actually pay for bird food with Lightning, which I thought was really fun. And Elaine's been a great contributor to the developer community. So we're seeing all sorts of apps. For example, micropayments for podcasts, for videos, for articles. Various ways for people to send and receive high-volume payments. The community, in-game payments, things that we haven't even thought of today. And people are already building out these applications, which has been so exciting to watch evolve.
Cool, yeah, you guys should try it out. Like, testnet Lightning is really fun, and there are lots of cool apps.
It's addictive.
It's very addictive. So what do you think, what do you need to build out this future? Like, what's the key thing that's missing or that you need more of right now?
So right now, in terms of protocol development, one thing that I think people don't realize is, for example, there are about 8 full-time developers working on 3 implementations of the Lightning protocol. And for those that are familiar with Bitcoin, Lightning is seen as a big project within the ecosystem. So More people contributing to these implementations, I would say, is key. Protocol development, is no small feat. It can take a while to get up to speed, but I encourage folks in the room that are technically minded, interested in distributed systems, cryptographic protocols, to go online. All the code for all the implementations is open source. Learn more about it. So, protocol developers. Application developers, it's easier to build an app on Lightning than to build at the base layer protocol, because for the base layer, you need to both know Bitcoin protocol and Lightning. But certainly building out that ecosystem is crucially important, and that's a way to get this technology out to the world. And then enthusiasts. For example, testers. We have a Slack channel for our L&D implementation with over 1,700 people. There's some amazing community members that are so passionate. Every day, they test our software. So they come online, they kind of send me links, and there's really a great community. And that's one of the things that I love about what we're doing. It's very much grassroots. So for example, right now in the testnet, there are several thousand nodes and over 15,000 channels that are out there as well. So people are engaging. There are some people that even are using Lightning on the main Bitcoin network, so with real Bitcoin. There's been some fun discussion around this in terms of, is it ready yet? And one of our big milestones for Lightning Labs is going to be the release of our mainnet beta, hopefully very soon, where we put it out to the world and enable people to do so with a fairly tested implementation, but it will still very much be in beta. I will also remind folks that Bitcoin actually is still in beta. It has not gone out of beta. So the idea is don't use, put your whole life savings, put a small amount, don't put anything you don't want to lose. Consider this as a test network.
Totally. Is Lightning Labs hiring engineers? Just to ask that question?
We are definitely hiring protocol developers and JavaScript application developers. And if you're interested, you can be anywhere in the world. Definitely talk to me.
Awesome. One last thing. Want to know a little bit about the role of multiple currencies in Lightning. So you mentioned you support Bitcoin and Litecoin. How do you see cross-chain swaps fitting into the picture?
Totally. So before we get to that, I just wanted to show folks here, this is a map of the network. And one of the things that I find really exciting is you can see how you have a variety of nodes and different people that are connecting to each other. And it really does look reminiscent of the early days of the internet. And people are just running, for example, in order to run a Bitcoin full node, you have to download the entire blockchain. You don't need to do so in order to run a Lightning node. It's possible to run one on a phone, although your phone won't be online all the time. And with Lightning, you want nodes to be online, so you can do it on a laptop, a desktop. So that's very engaging. So to me, this map is super exciting. So this past November, we announced the first ever Lightning cross-chain swap. And what this means is we're able to transact between Bitcoin and Litecoin on Lightning instantly without a central intermediary or an exchange. So part of why I think this is so interesting and so important is, as we heard about earlier with Nick, the reliance on central intermediaries can be problematic in terms of if they get hacked. There are all sorts of security risks. Also, if the point of this ecosystem is to have decentralization, you don't want to have to rely on all these central intermediaries where they could, for example, have all your data, it could be compromised. So the future for cross-chain swaps between currencies and the ability for Lightning to enable that, you can have decentralized exchanges. Merchants can instantly accept a variety of currencies, and they don't have to actually deal with support for all of them. And there are all sorts of interesting applications that can come out of that. So that's something that we're going to see evolving and developing in the next year or so. So I just want to add one final point. It's important to remember that this is a marathon and not a sprint. Building core protocols on the infrastructure around it takes time. And Lightning is one of those core protocols. So a few weeks ago, I saw this tweet, and it reminded me how early we really are. It's 1969 for the Lightning Network. This is the equivalent of the ARPANET. And we may be doing something crazy, but I wouldn't underestimate what comes next. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited about the Lightning future. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Great talking with you.